put a
what is
timestamp
happening.
down of like this,
Yeah.
where we're
Well,
actually starting. Be like, it sounds terrible, so you can listen if you want, but if you really want to just not do that,
yeah. If you
start.
really want to do that, start at the 8th minute, please.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's
There you go.
that's
that
the
will be the plan.
magic.
That will be the plan. All right, so we've got a very special episode of Nats Talk on the go right now. So we've got Johan on the line and myself and Craig. So let's talk about Nats baseball, shall we?
Let's do it.
Yeah, I love talking about baseball, and it's nice to have someone on the show that actually knows something about baseball.
I was
So
gonna say
that's
that knows
I
what they're
would say
talking
that's a
about.
first for us.
Yeah, it's the first time in 8 years. Well, we
you
have
guys
had
do.
Ryan Sullivan on, so
We've had some good guests.
yeah, we've had
yes,
some good
but
guests, but it's been a while.
they've always raised the level an excruciatingly huge amount.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Not that we're trying to set the standard high for you, Johan, but
We are trying to set
we
it.
are definitely trying to do that.
Yeah, we'll see.
So, Johan, for anyone who's listening that doesn't know who you are, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about why you actually know things about baseball?
Okay, so I guess I could start from the very beginning. When I was like, I don't know, 4 or 5, got a tee, and my dad got me a tee, a bat, and a ball, and it was like game over. I played baseball every summer since, and then
Dude, I'm gonna cut you off right there. Like,
Yeah.
I got Little Mac a tee for Father's Day,
Oh.
and this little kid, like, he would rather have me soft toss him the ball, and he just crushes it one-handed. Like,
do you,
he's 3.
is he going right, left?
He's going right.
Okay,
Yeah, I know.
Dude, but it's always better when it's left.
I know,
Like,
dude.
I
I know,
gotta shout out Graham, dude. Graham, Adam's son.
dude.
That swing is ridiculous, and he's
It's
what?
not
7, 8?
okay. Yeah. But yeah, I'm gonna send you videos of Little Mac because like he's getting
Oh.
soft toss from like 10, 12 feet away and hitting it, like on the regular.
Yeah, he's topping me. I wasn't doing that at 3.
So continue on with my son better than you. Okay,
Yeah, he's better than me already, just like his dad at throwing, apparently.
that's right. Exactly right.
Nice.
And I've got the receipts.
Good throwback. Good throwback.
So yeah, after I played high school baseball at Lake Braddock and went to college, was gonna try to walk on at CNU, and then got elbow tendonitis, so I decided to kind of stop doing it at the high level. Kept playing through the summers, then came back after college and started coaching at Lake Braddock, and been the JV coach for 10 years now. This is gonna be my 11th coming up this spring. That's quite crazy
Now,
to think
correct
about.
me if I'm wrong, but Lake Braddock varsity won the state championship this year.
Yeah, that was pretty fun, especially with the last day was the semifinals and the finals in the same day, about 2 hours apart. That was a pretty crazy day, to say the least. And we get our rings on November 1st.
Man,
Pretty
awesome.
hyped about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I mean, that's pretty
Thanks, man.
cool, and that might be
was-
better than my 2012 team signed bat that I got for throwing faster than you. But
That bat,
still
though,
pretty
that's my favorite team, too. The 2012 team was my favorite team, like, by far. I'm sure it's everybody else's, too, because it was the first one. But, yeah, I'm pretty hurt about that one. Still,
Yeah,
what was that? 3 years ago?
that was 3 years ago, 2016.
2016. Yeah, still kind of salty about that.
Yeah, I would be too if I were you and a loser.
But yeah, now is my second state championship ring as a coach, so I'll take that.
Oh, is that all? Is that
Yeah.
all?
Just yeah. And,
So-
this was a little better because I coached 5 guys in the starting lineup on JV when they were younger, so it's probably the most impact I've had on the varsity team so far.
So yes, Johan knows exactly what he's talking about.
I was going to say,
And whereas Joe and I, we talk about, stats and, strategies and stuff like that. Johan, he knows what things look like and are supposed to look like and things that I could never possibly understand. So,
yeah,
so
that's
we've got
one
him
of the
here
things.
to kind of, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Craig.
We've got him here to kind of tell us how right in some things we are, but kind of give us a different perspective as to how the 2019 playoff Nats have been looking and playing, and how Davies actually been doing from a player standpoint, as opposed to our couch Monday morning quarterbacking.
Yeah, exactly. And that's going to be a nice perspective for us because we haven't really had that before. So I think, we obviously have to spend some time talking about game one because it was bad, real bad. So we can, if we can tackle it chronologically, I think we'll start there and hit some of the things that might have gone right, but also the many things that have gone wrong in that game, and move forward from there. So, what do you got, guys?
Yo, go ahead, man.
That was definitely a very hard one to watch from start to finish. You could tell Corbin was a little amped. And
well, it's his first time in the playoffs. I mean, he's been fantastic.
I didn't realize that until it was like halfway through the first. He was like he was struggling. I asked Twitter, and they're like, "Yeah, this is his first."
I didn't either. I thought the exact same thing. I was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe this is his first ever playoff game." I had no idea.
I had to think back. I was like, I don't think he's made it before. So it made a lot of sense. But yeah, even then, he didn't even do that bad compared to I feel like Max during the wildcard game was slightly worse than what Corbin was doing in terms of their abilities. But yeah, hitting wise was just obviously the biggest story there. Just didn't do anything to play. 2 hits spread across 5 innings, I think. The second.
Well, and that was the big problem. And you're right. Corbin had those 5 walks early on, which was brutal. But ultimately, he pitched 6 innings and gave up 2 runs. That's. I mean, come on! And he struck out 9 guys, didn't give up a home run. So as bad as it felt at the time, I think it really did feel that bad because the offense was that bad.
2 runs against the best team in the National League by a long shot. And Barry Sverluga actually tweeted the other day, the Nats in their 5 division series openers in their history, they have 8 runs total, are hitting 170 and slugging 239.
Ugh. Yeah, that's brutal. I mean, that's just brutal.
That is not starting on the proper foot.
No.
Yeah, not at all. But I think that it was easy at that point to look and say oh, Corbin put the Nats in this situation. But I think you hit it, Johan. That the fact that Trey Turner had a hit, I think early on, if I'm remembering. Oh no, that was not that game. But it was.
First hit was in the second.
Right. So Jan had that hit in the second, and then there was nothing until Turner got another hit in the whatever inning that was. But it was painful to watch, and then obviously Howie didn't have his best game ever. Either a couple of errors and a strikeout, and wasn't able to get on base, which he's been a huge boon for the Nats all year long, but they just weren't able to do anything at all. It was painful. I mean, do either of you have anything else to talk about that game? I don't know how much more we can say about it.
I mean, I don't have much to say. It was terrible, and I'll be completely honest, I definitely went to bed before it was over.
I wish I did.
I wish I did.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially before Strickland pitched. So that was just...
That's when I left.
That's what I was going to say.
I should have done it.
I thought it was really weird, especially considering, anyone that listened to our show a couple days ago about the wild card game. The bullpen is not, I don't think, as much a factor in the postseason. Yes, you have to, have a solid bullpen and trust your guys and all that. But with the days off on travel days, you're not going to be pitching more than 2 days in a row. So when you have big situations, I found it surprising that when you're in a 2 or 3 run game, you're not bringing in good pitchers. You're bringing in Hunter Strickland. I'm surprised that, when you're trying to keep it close, you're not bringing in Hudson or Doolittle or even Suero, for that instance. So I just find it surprising that, they shied away from those guys. I really just don't understand why. It wasn't to keep them fresh because all of them can throw 2 days in a row, and then you're going to get a day off. So
Yeah.
I was just really confused about the bullpen usage specifically.
I agree because Doolittle, because he's the only lefty in the bullpen, he should be pitching literally every game. Like, there's no reason he shouldn't pitch every game. At some point in the game, he needs to be in the game, and that really confused me. Like, I agree with you there. And
Dude,
I just
it's the Dodgers. They're a tough left-handed
so
hitting.
many left-handed hitters.
think they had,
Exactly.
Like, you got
6
Muncy,
yesterday.
you got Bellinger. Like, these are great hitters in there that are lefties.
Yeah.
That it's
Yeah.
insane that the Nationals only have one lefty guy, but you need to pitch him. And it's exactly what I talked about. To close the game against the Brewers for the wild card game. I was surprised that Gamble, the lefty, is up there and Doolittle's hot, but you're still sticking with Huddy. Like, you've got one lefty, and you need to use him when the situation arises.
And the last thing I'll say is Buehler was lights out. He looked really good, and I'm kind of worried about facing him again.
Yeah, he was Strasburg in game 2, like, good. I mean, he was insanely good. Yeah, he looked really good. Yeah, the whole way through.
Yeah.
So I think that's it on game 1. Everybody knows how bad it was, but luckily they rebounded in a huge way in game 2. And I think from my perspective, most importantly, was they did it really early. That they came out after how bad that game 1 was, and they said, all right, we're going to put up runs in the first and second inning, and we have our best pitcher on the mound, best pitcher in 2019 on the mound.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was a completely different team, and it's so strange how that happened. I don't know if it was they felt the pressure was off, or I have no idea what got into them between games 1 and 2, but they were fighting in at bats, and it was like they actually had a plan for the pitcher, for Kershaw. And like, Kershaw wasn't great to start, but he settled in. But that didn't stop the Nats from having chances throughout the entirety of Kershaw's appearance.
Yeah, they had so many chances, especially early on. And I think Kershaw's interview after the game was really appropriate because he talked about kind of that he did struggle to find his command a little bit in the first couple of innings, and the Nats did just enough damage to get away with it, right? And that's with a guy like Kershaw. I know that he's not the same guy anymore, but you do have to do that, right? Like, you have to do some damage early on or in the few weak moments that you get from that pitcher. Otherwise, you might not get that chance again. And the Nationals really didn't get that chance again. After those first couple of innings, things locked down pretty significantly.
Yeah, I thought the game plan early on was definitely swinging early because you don't want to worry about that curveball. But after that first inning, I was like, he doesn't have that, and the fastball was kind of iffy. He was leaving it down the middle, so it was really that thing he calls a slider. I don't know why he calls it a slider because it's definitely a cutter.
It's definitely a cutter. Yeah.
And like I was watching with my buddy who I played high school baseball with last night. And he was like, "Yeah, there's some big thing about how he doesn't want it to be called a cutter," and I was like, "That's absolutely ridiculous because that's exactly what it is."
Well, Jeff Francoeur talked about it on the TBS broadcast. He was like, the pitch that he throws that kind of looks like a cutter, but you can't call it a cutter to him. He calls it a slider, and it's like, no, but it's a cutter though. It's definitely not a slider. Yeah.
Real quick,
it's like
Jeff
2 miles
was terrible.
Really, I like him. I think he's good.
I thought
I think he's okay. I turned off I was listening to Charlie and Dave during the first game, but I listened yesterday. He was okay. And my question is, does he sound like Cal Ripken to you guys?
Oh yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
Like during game 1, since I didn't hear him during the wild card game, I thought it was Cal for like the first 3 innings, and I was like, oh no, wait, I remember somebody tweeting that this was Jeff Francoeur, and I was like, they sound almost exactly the same.
Yeah, they sound
so
very similar.
Talking about different things. You're like, that's definitely not Cal.
Yeah.
No.
I'm not saying that he's the best, but I do think that he does a good job of like covering both sides pretty equally, talking about talking about things that it feels like, I'm just gonna go there, but like FP when he's really good. Like when he has
when
that,
he's with Dave Jagler.
Yeah, right. Totally. Yeah.
Which I'm glad I got to slide that opinion in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
But it's true. Very true.
So Johan, what is it with Kershaw? Is he just getting older? Like, do you see anything there that he's not the ace anymore? Is it just age? Like, do you see anything?
No, like he looks exactly the same. The mechanics are all still exactly the same. It's just he's lost that velocity, and he's just now that he knows that, so he's like mixing it up way more, and he's using that cutter very well. And it was the only pitch he can control yesterday, and so he was diving in on righties, and then kind of keeping away from lefties. Like I think against Soto, he was working away. He was working Rendon down, if I remember correctly, and then that was the only thing I was like, kind of like that's all he has. Like they got to know that after like 2 innings. I'm like, that's the only pitch he's controlling and putting where he wants, and the fastball's over the plate, and the curveball's just nowhere close. But I don't know, because like considering the last time we saw him for real was it 2016?
Yeah, game 5.
I mean, game 5 was that was like the last real time when I saw him and I mean he's still elite. Like that was when he was like elite. Like that's the last time I really saw him like lights out, and I was like, I knew we were gonna lose that game because he came in.
Yeah.
So yesterday I felt good about the matchup between Strauss and him. I was like, this is doable. Like they could do this. And then the way he pitched in the first, I was like, oh, they got him. And then Zim barely misses that one on the first pitch.
Dude, how many balls died on the track on the net for the Nats? I think it was 4 or 5 across the night. Like I don't know if it was the marine layer.
I don't know. Like Rendon's off the bat on TV. I was like, oh yes, I was already like standing up. I was like, as soon as off the bat, I was like, that's gone. It was right down the middle, and he got all of it. And then it didn't. It hit like 3 feet from the top. I was like, what the hell?
Yep.
There's something. I mean, people are talking about how they changed the balls again, and I don't know if I'm subscribing that fully, but
if you've watched the Yankees Twins series, they definitely haven't changed the ball.
Yeah, that's true. But for us, man, like I still am bothered by Kurtz during the wild card game, and
that was insane to me that did not go out.
It literally like stopped in midair.
Yeah,
it just went down.
Yeah,
I think Craig probably had a better view of that because it was like I was right kind of like low, but it looked like it stopped and just fell, and I was like, how did that not go out? So I don't. But yeah, go back to the original point of Kershaw. I don't know. I don't see anything different. It looks the same, but he just doesn't. He's not throwing 94 anymore, so he has to do a lot. He has to pitch a lot differently than he used to.
If I may, real quick, just to go back to it, since you did mention, pitch mix and all of that. What did you think of Strasburg's pitch mix? They showed a nice breakdown later in the game of what Strauss was doing throughout the game. And he was throwing a ton of curveballs.
He was throwing more curveballs than fast. He was throwing at one point. It was 30% curveballs, 28% fastballs. Crazy.
Like Johan, like you're the guy. Like you understand like why that would be a strategy. What the fuck? Like it was on and it worked, but like that's not something I remember seeing from Strauss in the recent past.
Yeah, he's still been primarily, fastball setup and then off the fastball change the curveball. But yeah, yesterday he was using that curveball like a fastball. And yeah, I think there was that one point after like 3 or something. It was like 14 curveballs and probably 11 two-seamers. And I was like, oh, okay. And like, are we going – this whole show could be on Strauss.
That's kind of where I'm going to push it. So go ahead.
All right, cool. So – I had to look back because I was just like, blown away, and it didn't seem like real what he was doing and what he ended up doing. But by the end of the game, so he had 10 strikeouts. One was looking. One
what was, the fuck? Sorry.
What happened?
Hurricanes tied the game.
No.
They did? Oh, man, I've had it on ball.
Sorry.
Anyway,
My
it's
bad.
okay. It's okay. So 10 Ks, one was looking, one was a strikeout on a pitch in the zone. 8 out of 10 were swinging on pitches outside of the zone because he was just ridiculous. Like his pitches were hit all of his pitches. Even his four seam was moving. He was throwing like 94 and it was drifting like 6 inches.
Yeah.
But he was, I can't even, because he was putting everything where he wanted to put it. Like the funniest part of the game to me was when he struck out Bellinger in the 4th on a like dirty changeup. Probably started right down the middle of the plate and then ended up like a couple inches off the corner. and he's walking around the mound shaking his head and pissed at himself. I'm like, are you serious? Like that was one of the dirtiest pitches you've thrown all game, and somehow it didn't feel right, and he was like mad about it.
I remember that
That was
moment.
me
Meanwhile,
cracking up.
It almost hit Bellinger like in the back ankle. It was such a good curveball. Like it was insane. And he still walked off the mound like shaking his head, and it was like Strauss has hit a level. Like this is new. Like this is not what it used to be like.
well, and Bellinger was shaking his head. He was just like looking at the dugout, like, what
do
the
I
fuck
do?
just happened?
Right.
Yeah, like I expect that out of Max, but not Strauss. Like Strauss usually like keeps everything in, and like that was one of the few times where he's been like not happy with like a lights out pitch. I'm like, like literally, like you said, he's on another level. And yesterday he was, and it was like didn't seem like he was stressed. I mean, obviously he went what 4 no hit. Well, perfect.
Into the fifth.
So
I
that's
think he
cool. And then
he
so
gave
like
it
he
up,
was
yeah.
just free and easy. I'm like, that's the reason why I wanted him to start the wild card game, and then I was happy that they said game 2 because this is this is what we wanted out of him. He probably like outperformed expectations of what everybody thought he was actually going to do too.
Yeah, I've got strong thoughts about that, but I think you're totally right that like people, we talked about it on the last recording that Craig and I did that like I thought it was going to be Anibal in game 2, and it was mostly because I didn't think Davey would be bold enough to give Strauss the ball. I just didn't think that was going to happen.
I think 2 games in, or I'm sorry, I'm going to go ahead and say 3 games into this playoff for the Nationals. I think we can throw out the Davey's going to be at all conservative about anything.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is surprising because that's not how he's acted so far.
Like ever, like the entire time he's been coaching.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I think that
like this is the manager I want and like.
Yes.
Like give me this for 162.
Well, and what I tweeted about yesterday after the game was like I was watching the the TBS post game, and Dave Roberts when he was asked a question about like were you expecting to see Scherzer, you could see on his face like he was legit shocked that Davey would have even thought about being that bold, right? Like when he basically said when I saw Scherzer warming up, I was like, oh, okay. Like he just because Davey has been just a conservative manager for a couple of years now. That like it's kind of fun to see him, take this opportunity to go. All right, I'm just gonna throw it all out there and see what happens.
Yeah, I have enjoyed it. I have not been the biggest Davey fan throughout his 2 years here, but the way he's been going about his business these 3 games has been it's been shocking me. But I've liked the moves, and I like aggressive baseball in general, but aggressive managing too.
The big problems being obviously bringing Rainey and then followed up by Rodney and then Strickland. Like that game, the game 1 bullpen management was left a little to be desired. But other than that, lineup construction, everything else has been good. I mean, I feel the same way.
Like I like that he kept Howie in and put Zim back at first.
Definitely.
I supported that
over
move.
Dozier, same thing. Yeah, like
yeah. I mean, Howie, you want his bat in there, and it paid off big time in game 2. But you needed that defense after. I mean, Howie's not a first baseman. He played first base for the first time in 2019, and he was passable most of the time. But Zim is just a rock star at first base. So.
Amazing.
And when Zim is feeling it with the bat, like that's a game changer for a lineup.
And clearly Zim is feeling that, especially against left-handed pitching. He looked great in game 2. Mm-hmm. From my perspective. And then, I think that there's been a lot of good things to look at because from Davey's perspective, because I did fear that Howie was going to be pulled after the rough game 1, which would have been the wrong call. And I think that Davey in August might have done that, right? Like, and put Dozier in at second and Zim at first, but you need Kendrick's bat with the way he's been hitting all season long.
I agree. I joked with my buddy that he probably just needed a smaller glove.
Yeah, right. Right. Just put that second baseman's glove on him. He'll be fine.
Yeah, at first, he'll be fine. And then Zim, to touch on that, I mean, I tweeted about it, but he's been going for first pitch a lot lately. And I was talking to Craig about it. I was texting with him, and I was like, "This is." I feel like it's a long con from the rest of his career, like the first 10, 12
We're talking-
years of career.
Dude, we were freaking out about it at the Sunday, the last game of the regular season.
Yeah.
Or no, it wasn't. It was the Saturday before the end of the season, the regular season.
Oh, yeah.
And like Zim hit two at bats. He was swinging first pitch, and I turned to Johan and I said, "Zim doesn't do that. What is going on?"
For 14 years, he
And, like-
hasn't done that. For 14 years.
I guarantee
like-
you could search my Twitter and find Zim. You just looked at one right, and to steal Johan's quote, right down the dick,
All the time.
and you just watched it go. That was the
Probably
only
about
pitch you
100
got.
times. Yeah.
Yeah.
And here he is, like, what, 2 times last night? 3 times?
Yeah. Which is awesome.
Yeah. Even his 09 when he was just on fire and like up there in the MVP voting, but it was guaranteed he was taking that first pitch. Like we didn't have to guess what he was going to do. No matter where it was, he was taking that first pitch. No matter what. Like next 10 years, same way. And then all of a sudden now he's swinging first pitch almost over half the time now. Like these past this playoff games, like he's been first pitch hacking. And he almost took that one out off Kershaw. Like that was a perfect spot. He just missed it.
Exactly.
Dude, we had 4 or 5 to the track, like right on it. Give it, if that's a day game, those are out.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially there.
So while we're in the weeds, just a little bit and talking, pretty in depth about strategy and all of that, I'd like to go to the 9th inning. Daniel Hudson in. We'll get back to Max, of course, and all that.
Yeah.
But what's your take on the intentional walk?
That Davies got some fucking balls.
Oh my god.
That holy shit, man.
Yeah.
Like I didn't realize it happened until, because I put my head down real quick and I looked back up and I was like, wait a second, where is Muncy? And he's like, oh, he's on first base. He intentionally walked him. I was like, this is the winning run at home. And I was just kind of shocked for the next 5 minutes. I didn't know what to think. I was like, I get it. I get the matchup. You want righty with Hudson in there. And then he makes it worse by, walking him on 4 pitches. But I was like blown away by Davies' call there.
Yeah. Is it a call you would have made though? It is a ballsy call, but at the time I was like, what is he doing? And then it's like, oh, I see what he's doing. Right.
I don't know if like I said, I don't know if I would have had the balls to do it. I'm definitely not doing it in high school because, they're not that good.
Yeah, of
but,
course.
And Muncy, and guys aren't getting home runs, and Muncy didn't just go yard his last at bat, so it's something to consider. And it's just not a good matchup. But, I mean, that's one of those where that could have backfired really hard with it, considering the guys coming up, like Seager coming up right after it was Will Smith, right?
It was.
I mean, you're putting the winning run on first base. That's
Tying
insane.
run.
When you've got
But you're putting the
what
winning
was
run
the
in
tying
the
run?
box. And it's
you're
the best home run hitting team in the National League. So
best home run hitting team, and you've got the worst bullpen in postseason history.
Well, and that's the thing that's surprising to me because this is not like we've already talked about. This is not who Davey's been all year long. Like he just has been the conservative. Like he would have never. I feel like in July, August, September would have never done that.
I agree.
Yeah.
Never. Not even close. Like he's like lets that play out, and however it plays out, it's just another game.
Right, exactly. It's crazy, but obviously it worked out. But Hudson certainly got into quite a bit of trouble in that inning. But I think overall, besides the walks, like obviously he had the bad at bat against Will Smith, but I think overall,
right after the intentional
which
walk.
is the nightmare scenario. But otherwise, I think he looked pretty good though. I think that he was locating that fastball at like 97 miles an hour pretty well, other than those couple of bats.
And that last Seager at bat, I mean, I remember seeing at least 10 tweets about to throw up on Twitter, and I was with him. I was like, this is rough because he kept fouling off pitches and he kept just throwing fastball after fastball. And I was like, when is the slider coming? It's got to be coming at play.
Yeah.
There was a couple at bats for both pitchers. There were a couple at bats for both pitchers, and I'm thinking specifically of, I forget his name right now, but the lefty guy whose only job is to get out Juan Soto this series.
Oh,
Clark, yeah.
Where Like
I
literally
got
outside,
him.
outside, 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 ninth pitch, inside, and you're out. Or
Yeah.
vice versa, sorry. Inside, and
Yeah.
then I'm going to make you try and pull the outside pitch, and you're going to pop out, ground out, whatever. But, that's exactly what Huddy did. And for Huddy to call a slider,
Oh yeah.
Oh,
like,
that was the plan. I bet they would have gone back out again. I'm sure that was conversations like, if he doesn't go for the slider, we're going back out again.
well,
making him-
there was, it was either a Post article or a Athletic article, I can't remember, that said, when Suzuki came out, Huddy was like, I'm going outside. And Zook was like, you sure? And he was like, yep.
Yeah.
Really,
That's awesome.
Yep. It was Huddy's call.
dude. Kurt's a man. I love Kurt.
He's been such a huge addition to the team, but like in that at bat, the fact that it was a called strike on the first pitch and then foul ball, foul ball, foul ball, ball, foul ball, all on fastballs was like to then go to that slider and trust that Seager was going to swing was pretty ballsy. I mean that is like, he is clearly seeing that fastball because all of those fastballs were 96 or 97 miles an hour. So he was clearly on them because he was fouling them off. But then to trust that he's going to swing on that slider out of the zone, pretty bold, totally on the other side of the plate. It was impressive.
Yeah. Because he had, what was it? What pitch was that? Pitch 8. Yeah, 7 fastballs in a row.
Yeah, exactly.
And make sure he doesn't hang that, because if he hangs that, it's game
Yeah,
over.
if he hangs that, it's a grand slam. The game's over at that point.
Yeah.
Like if you leave that in the zone anywhere, then Seager's gonna kill it. I mean, he always does, right?
Yeah, it needed to be what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a very close game. It was exhausting.
Yeah. Yeah, I was pretty done by the end of it. That was
So yeah, the Nats.
You know what really killed it?
What?
Oh, I'm sorry.
go
Pedro
ahead.
Baez.
oh god. I
Jesus.
said the same thing.
The human rain delay.
I looked over at Laura
Like,
and
he
we were
came
watching
in-
the game. I'm sorry. I looked over at Laura and I was just like, here we go. Here we go. It was just like
Yeah.
so bad.
I mean, me and my buddy were watching. We both had, everybody's had a long day, and I was like, he came in, and I looked at him, and I was like, we're about to start falling
Yeah.
asleep, and that's exactly what was happening. That inning, the 7th inning, was long because of the pitching changes anyway, but I must have nodded off at least 10 times that inning alone, because of Pedro Baez. Like, it probably takes him about 5 seconds to like step onto the rubber and then look to take his sign, and then after the sign, it's like 5 seconds to set.
It's crazy.
Like,
And that's just that. So that's like 15 seconds after towing the rubber. Like, not to mention all the other stuff he does before he tows the rubber. It's ridiculous.
give me a pitch clock just
Yeah.
for him. And like, back to the wild card game. Like, that game was 2 hours and 50 minutes, and the pitchers were towing the rubber and going. Like, no bullshit. It was exciting still. Like, that is in favor of a pitch clock for me right there.
Hell yeah, he's probably the number one.
In 2016 when the Nats faced the Dodgers, like it was the next year that they implemented like some of the pitch clock stuff, and it was because of him in the playoffs. Like it really, like that was a huge part of it. Was Baez was so slow that like Manfred was like, we have to do something about this. Like he was the catalyst for that.
Yeah, especially with him being on a team run by Dave Roberts, because he manages, man. He does a lot of pitching changes, so it's gonna be a slow game with the Dodgers anyway. But then when he comes in, it's just like, man.
Well, right. I mean,
there was some matchup baseball happening.
yeah. Well, they had 3 pitchers in that 7th inning. Like it was all thirds of an inning there, and
dude, how does that ginger kid throw?
Oh my god,
97
he
miles
looks
an
like
hour?
a child.
And he's 6'6", 180. Like,
oh, it's crazy.
that's not okay.
no legs.
That's not
that's
okay.
what I don't understand. I was thinking that too. I was watching the guy throw. I'm like, how is he throwing 95? This doesn't make any sense. And it's like, it doesn't look like he's max effort either. He's kind of just like free and easy too.
That was the thing that was
But
impressive to
that
me.
was
He was just kind of
better
like
too.
all arms and legs out there, but it wasn't like he was like Max Grundig out there throwing 96 miles an hour. It was pretty impressive.
And he had the Bronson Arroyo leg
Yes,
kick,
he
which was
does.
a nice little throw.
Nice
God,
throwback.
yes.
Nice throwback. That big leg kick is awesome.
Yep. If I could go to Kolarek,
Yeah,
because that's going to be a big thing for the rest of the series, him against Juan
definitely.
Soto.
Well,
I just thought
let's go to it real quick. Let's talk about it real quick. So, game 1, Soto, was it 4 pitches? Was it 3? Like
three.
just completely dominated.
Yeah.
And you see him again this game 2, 9 pitches. Soto's just fouling shit off. Like, I want to see this go on because
Craig.
he said it a bunch last year, but he just something in him like is freakish. Like he did his homework overnight and turned a dominant pitcher hitter matchup to basically an even matchup. And Soto was right on him for 8 or 9 pitches. So like I've got a good feeling that Soto's going to get it figured out, but man, that's exciting.
I can't remember which one of you was talking about last week about how he's one of his best traits as a baseball player is his ability to adjust. And that's what I tweeted about during game 1, where I was like, he made him look probably as bad as anybody has made Soto look in his time with the Nats. And I was interested to see if Juan could adjust as the series went on. And I didn't think he was going to make the adjustments he made within one day that he would. Frank Gore also talked about how while Kolarek was warming up, he was like basically right behind home plate.
Yeah.
That was so cool.
Because he was like, why? I'm sure he was thinking after game 1, like, why am I just whiffing on this guy? Like, how is he making me whiff? That doesn't make any sense. And I also thought it was interesting that he was pitched away by Kershaw for 3 at-bats. And then Kolarek, he took the first pitch up the middle. So I went back to the at-bat to check it out because he took the first pitch up the middle, which made sense because he's like, I need to see this without swing because he swung at all 3 on game 1. And then Kolarek went in the next 7 pitches, which I thought was interesting because they hadn't been going in all day. And the one he grounded was off the plate away. And like it became an even matchup. And I'm wondering if Kolar's going to adjust again or if Soto is going to start being on him because he was on him for those foul balls too. Like he fouled off 5 pitches at bat. And they were all in and low. And a lot of those I thought he should have missed. So I'm just interested to see how that continues because that's obviously going to be a big thing in the 7th and 8th for the rest of the series.
That's literally that guy's only job.
Well, and the fact that you have a guy on your roster whose only job is to get out a 20-fucking-year-old guy, like it's so incredible to me because I think I was talking about in the previous show about just the fact that the way he can adjust being so impressive and like it's so insane to me to see like the fact that he could look stupid on 3 pitches and the next day have triple the length of an at bat against the same guy is remarkable. Like it's remarkable to adjust at any age, let alone 20 years old.
Yeah, I know you guys could do a whole nother show on Juan Soto alone because that kid it's seriously unbelievable what he's doing. And I have to, I know you guys did it all last week, but I had to just, when I'm watching him play, I have to like say in my head, this kid is.
I know. And this is
like, and the crazy part is I wasn't really saying that about Bryce. Like 19, yeah, but like 20, I was like, okay, he's settled and he's like, he's established. But like,
that's what I was just gonna say, man. I swear, I was just gonna say like the thing that, and again, this is like we talked about it in the first show. I don't mean for this to be a Bryce bashing situation, but like it's like it feels totally different to me as to where Bryce was in his 2nd season. Totally different.
I'll jump in and say I'm more than okay with this being a Bryce bashing session. Like.
Naturally.
Like, yeah, but
he's sitting on the couch right now.
It's insane to me that Soto is this good at this age, and he at this point he's better than Bryce is at this point. That better than Bryce was at that point. I mean,
and he's got just like, I mean, that was the craziest part about when he was 19. He has like a veteran way about going about at bats. Obviously, the way he he takes and he does all that stuff in between pitches, but like,
which I love.
He's thinking, and it's obviously the best. Like one of the best parts about his game is between pitches. Just like it reminds me of Yunel Escobar
Oh, totally.
when he was on the team, and he had the most entertaining at bats, and Juan's the same way. It's like, what's he gonna do between this pitch?
Yeah.
Like when he takes it, but his plate discipline, his eye, I mean, that's what puts him on a different level than what Bryce was at 20. Like Bryce was just, always a free swinger, and if you make a mistake, he's gonna capitalize. And Juan is not that. Like, I don't think Harper gets that hit off a hater during the wild card game.
Yeah, agreed.
So yeah, I don't want to bash the guy either, because I've always enjoyed Bryce, and I'm kind of getting to a point where I can start enjoying him again, even though he's on the Phillies. But Soto is clearly better, and I'm hoping he stays healthy and continues to stay on his trajectory, because this kid could be something special.
Yeah, totally agree. That's kind of how I feel about it. Like I certainly haven't gotten around to enjoying Bryce yet. I'm not there yet, but I do really still respect the 6 years that he had here personally. But so I try not to bash, but there are some times when there's that 1-to-1 comp where I'm just I've got to it's impossible not to make this comparison between Soto and Harper.
I will say that one of the reasons why I am kind of okay with the Harper thing now is how hard he hit that ball of 100 straight.
Yeah, right.
It was 116. And I was appreciated how hard he hit that. I was like, okay, I think I've turned a page here, because I don't think I would have been happy with that at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, totally.
Even though we won, I mean, I think it helps that we 5 games swept them. But
that was some nice therapy at the end of the season for sure.
Yeah.
So we obviously have to talk about the other 2 relief pitchers in this game, and I think we should start with Doolittle, because he came in relief of Strauss, and I think we all agree that he probably should have pitched game 1 as well. But he came in and gave up that home run on it was a bad pitch. I don't think there's too much to say about it, except it was a bad pitch. But other than that, he was very good. I mean, he had a great inning, except for that one home run.
And I mean, you can talk about all you want. The Dodgers are a 107 win team with a crap ton of home runs. They hit home runs off of the best pitchers in baseball all year. So I am not gonna be upset that they went yard on Doolittle. That's Max Muncy is one of the better home run hitters in the National League. So kudos, tip your hat. He got
it happens sometimes.
That's what matters.
Yeah, that is my biggest thing from I think that coming into the series, people had a lot of confidence that the Nats can do something here, and that's yet to be seen. But you can't discount the fact that the Dodgers won 106 games or whatever they won. Yeah, tough division, but the a bad division. The Nationals have been in some bad divisions, and they never got close to 106 games. I mean, that's
I don't think it's yet to be seen. I mean, the Nationals just stole away home field advantage from the best team in the National League.
Totally, but what absolutely. But what I'm saying is it's yet to be seen how the series shakes out. But you can't discount the fact that maybe their competition during the regular season wasn't all that great, but they 8 games bested the Nats' best ever record in a bad National League East back in 2012, right? So the Dodgers are really good. You can't just discount them and say whatever. They're going to hit a bunch of home runs, and I think that Doolittle specifically did an incredible job managing that 7th inning.
I mean, if you can strike out Cody Bellinger, you're doing pretty well.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying, right?
That happened to me, so I'm going to go for his pitch. And he happened to put it exactly where he wanted it. He knew where it was coming, and he was ready. Nice little bat flip, and he deserved to do that. Oh my God, the Caps just lost.
Oh, did they really?
Fuck.
But yeah, I thought Doolittle looked really good too, other than that one pitch. Did his job.
It was one bad pitch, and it was a really bad pitch. It was up, it was inside, it was a horrible pitch. But other than that, he was really good for an inning, and that's what you want from a guy like him.
Yeah. He's contributed to keeping Cody Bellinger over, I think, in these 2 games.
So, and that is quite a battle to make.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Bellinger's going to win the NL MVP.
Yeah,
it's just going to happen.
And he should.
So yeah, that leads into Max Scherzer.
Yeah.
So, wow. First
Yeah.
off, wow for the call, like having him available. Like there was rumors of it a little bit throughout, like the 6th and 7th. It was like, you might see Max Scherzer here, and it's like, no, that's
Yeah.
not gonna happen. Like it's his throw day, but no. And then Davey calls him in. And before any of that, like seeing the Dave Roberts quotes that, like, yep, totally caught us off guard, did not expect that at all. Scherzer has not been Scherzer for the last 6 weeks since he came back from his injury. But getting him in a 1 inning, you have 20 bullets, do what you will with them, and then we'll move on from there. Like, that was incredible. Like, it was a ballsy move again from Davey to bring him in. I would have brought him in for the 9th, but apparently Max said he didn't want the 9th because he didn't want to feel overamped from what I read. So he came in for the 8th. What was it? 13, maybe 14 pitches, 3 strikeouts, and like it was Max. It was vintage pre-DL Max Scherzer.
Yeah, I agree. I was, again, shocked by the move because my mindset was he needs to go. I feel like the whole series, our starter needs to go 7 for us to have like a really good shot. And if it's less than that, we're going to be battling anyway. But we really need him to be good Scherzer for 6 or 7 innings tomorrow. So I was kind of shocked by that. But then obviously, the results speak for themselves. And when I was thinking about it after the game, I was like, okay, it reminded me of the Jordan Zimmerman move by the other Davey, in 2012 Game 4. I don't know which one I could say was better because that Jordan Zimmerman one just always holds a special place because that's the only time I've ever seen him amped in a game. But Scherzer was right there, and vintage MFering on the mound, against guys, and just like I saw all the replays this morning, all the gifs on Twitter of like the close-ups of him just cussing out the batter and just going balls to the wall, which is always the best Max to watch, and it was really enjoyable to watch. It's good to see him back, so hopefully he's got that tomorrow too.
Yeah, I tweeted at the time that I was shocked that it happened, but I loved the call. Right, like I felt like in that spot that that Scherzer coming in, obviously it was on his bullpen day coming in, and Davey just saying like, I know who my 3 best pitchers are. They're 3 starters, and I'm going to use them when it's time to use them. And that to me was, again, back to the theme of this show a little bit, but that to me was oh my gosh, Davey has become a different manager, because he would have never done that at any other point. And the playoffs are certainly different, but and then Scherzer was throwing 99 miles an hour, and he was locating it, and I mean, he struck out 3 guys. I mean, he just struck out it was remarkable to see. And I know that some people, were talking a little bit about how Scherzer was getting a little bit too much credit with respect to Strasburg, but I do think that Scherzer deserves a lot of credit because he built a bridge that I don't think existed in that bullpen without him.
Well, let me touch on that real quick because I saw that happen. I think Grant Paulson, lovely, genius Grant Paulson, dripping with sarcasm,
Yes.
by the way.
I can smell it from here.
Was talking about, like, it seems like, everyone forgot about how great Strasburg was, and no one actually did. What did you guys think of Strasburg being pulled at 85 pitches? I was envisioning him coming back out for the 7th, then Doolittle, then Huddy. So he seemed to be, tiring a little bit in the 6th, but I really didn't think it was enough to pull him.
I thought
I would have given him at least one batter, but he was at 85 and he really wasn't redlining on Tuesday. So I think he was probably feeling pretty good. So I thought that was a really interesting decision that ended up needing the Nationals to use Scherzer in the first place instead of just Doolittle and Hudson.
I thought from my perspective, and I'm very interested in Johans, which is why I'm going first, but I thought that with Strasburg going in relief in the wild card game, and then hoping that you're going to get him again to pitch in relief in a potential game 5, that pulling him at 85, 6 very strong innings, and trust your best 2, 3 relievers if you include Scherzer in there. But I thought it would.
Well, and Doolittle and Hudson both were available for more than 3
Right,
outs. So
totally. But Davey, I think, coming into that situation, knowing that he was going to use Scherzer, which I think he knew that he was going to, even though he didn't share it with anybody. I liked the call of pulling him for the idea that maybe you could use Strasburg in the right situation in a potential game 4 or 5 for more than 1 inning, which is why I liked that idea. I thought that he was losing it a little bit there in the 6th inning, so I liked the call personally.
I thought I didn't really put any much thought into it at the time because I don't think I knew Strauss was at 85. But looking back on it now, what I think Davey was thinking is Bellinger was coming up and Muncy, and it would be their 4th time seeing Strauss. Even though I'm kind of like in the middle between you guys because I feel Craig's point because he was locked in. I'm sorry, I just because I could see it both ways because I feel like it was a move that was right in the middle. It wasn't super aggressive. It wasn't really conservative. It was logical.
We brought you here for your hot takes.
And damn right.
Knowing and that's the thing, we didn't know Scherzer was going to come in, so it was kind of okay, maybe do a little for 2 innings, and then Scherzer got up in the pen. I didn't really have an opinion on it one way or the other. I was just good game by Strauss, 10 Ks, can't ask for more, and then I'm very cool with Doolittle and Hudson, and then Scherzer coming out. So, yeah, I'm kind of between you guys. Sorry, I know it's not really the fire take, but that one I was I was that makes sense.
That was the. I think the thing that made the difference for me was once I saw Scherzer come in, I just thought that Davey always knew that was going to happen. And that's why I was okay with it. At the time, I don't know if I was so okay with it. I would have rather him stay in there. But once I saw that Scherzer was coming into the game, I was like, well, that's part of a game plan, and credit to Davey because it was a good game plan, right? I think that was my... Knowing that Scherzer was available kind of changed my thought process on it a little bit.
I definitely thought from the beginning, I mean, I already told you, I think that all our starters needed to go 7, so I thought he was on pace to do that. And I definitely think he could have easily been fine pitching that 7th and handled Bellinger, Muncy, and Smith. But I've also said that we need Doolittle in there, and I thought that was an appropriate time to use Doolittle. So
yeah, with the lefties, I see that for sure, but I was just very surprised.
Yeah,
and Huddy and both Doolittle and Huddy have shown they can go more than 3 outs.
Yeah.
So it was just very surprising, and of course Max wants to go. I totally get the you got to win the game. You got to win the game more than anything else. That's the number one priority. But I am very intrigued and interested to see how Scherzer does tomorrow because he was dynamite in relief, no question. But as a starter, he's not been as dynamite as we would hope. So you wonder if this is a turning point. You wonder if this is taxing a pitcher who, might still be recovering from his injury a couple months ago. So my concern was a little bit more further down the line than just the immediacy of Max Scherzer dominating, which is what we want to see. But dominating a 1-inning relief appearance is very different from dominating game 3.
Right. I think that my guess is that at some point today or tomorrow morning, Davey's going to have a conversation with Austin Voth that says, hey, you better be ready. Do
you think it's going to be Austin Voth or do you think it's going to be Anibal Sanchez?
It could be Anibal.
I would hope that it would be. And this is me going back to my not trusting Davey entirely mode. Playoff.
We gotta save Sanchez for extra innings. That's his role.
Playoff Davey, I say that he goes to Anibal.
I don't know playoff Davey.
But that's what I'm saying, right?
So,
I think that I always assumed that the first situation where there was a concern that the starter might not be able to go deep would be to Voth. But I don't know if that's true anymore, because I think that Davey has surprised us in a whole bunch of ways to this point, right? Like, I think that there is a really decent chance that that's on a ball, and I hope it is. So I think with that, I hope it is, but I'm still going with Voth because I'm still not totally on the trust bandwagon with Davey Martinez. So
go back to the seventh real quick. I wouldn't be surprised, Joe, if Davey had the plan the whole time that it would be Doolittle 7, Scherzer 8, and Hudson 9. And then as soon as he's like, we just need 6 out of Strauss, got there and was like, all right, pull the trigger on our plan.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And then I think I would go with on a ball just because like slow junk pitchers are like the kryptonite of home run hitting teams.
Absolutely.
So especially if Max starts, like going from Max to Anibal would be a bigger jump than Max to Voth. Even though I like Voth, but I feel like Anibal would be more prepared in that situation to do his thing and hopefully keep them off balance. So that's my opinion on that one.
Your lips to God's ears, Johan, because I hope that's what happens. Because I totally agree with you, right? Like, I think that the Max who comes into a game 3 throwing, the way he's been in the playoffs so far, 97 miles an hour, like going and throwing like crazy, and then bring Anibal in who throws 84 different pitches somehow. I feel like that's the right matchup for sure. So his opponent, assuming that it's still TBD, but we all know it's going to be Scherz, I think, at this point. But his opponent is Hyunjin Ryu, who is the 5th best pitcher by FWAR in the National League this year. So it's not like we're going to some scrub. And to be clear, Buehler and Ryu are both better than Kershaw this season by FWAR, and I think by the eye test as well, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree there. By the eye test for sure. Admittedly, though, I haven't seen Ryu pitch too many times this season. I've just seen the numbers and the times he pitched against us. But
I saw Ryu a lot earlier this year. He's not been the same pitcher he was at the beginning of the season, which is good. I'm looking forward to that. But, I mean, at the end of the day, this is a 3-game series now. Like, the Nationals have 2 at home, 1 on the road if necessary. But, the Nationals went in to LA and took home field advantage away. And that's huge. That's a big, big deal. And like we talked about on the podcast the other night, this is a different Nationals crowd than I've ever seen before. Oh, and I know, Johan, you were there on Tuesday. Like, yeah. You can attest.
I agreed with when you were talking about it on Wednesday on the podcast. Like, I was just nodding my head yes the entire time, because I've been to 2 game 5s, and that, I mean, it was definitely different, but it felt like more people were all in on every pitch. Like, it was getting to the point where it was like quiet between pitches, and it was really cool. And especially when
I didn't hear that in LA.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, the Dodger crowd, like, didn't seem like they were that into that game. Pressure situations, 2 strikes, 2 outs, like, not much. They look at the crowd, not much going on, and they can frame people like they were framing the Nats fans, but it didn't seem like they were like going crazy at all and trying to get their team back in the game. It's kind of like as soon as they went down, they're just like there for a ball game.
And that was the thing that's surprising to me, because Dodger Stadium holds like 53,000 people, right? Like the Nationals Park is like 41. It's a huge increase of people. It's like 12,000 people. And it was surprising to me how loud Nationals Park sounded in that wild card game with the 42,000 people that were there. And then, trying to get the team back into it. And fans from, I was watching from home, but were obviously super engaged at that point, versus at Dodger Stadium being a favorite and being down 3-0 through 2 innings. It's not like it was a total loss scenario there. That It was relatively quiet. I was pretty surprised.
Yeah. especially because they know their team is like very
Yeah,
good.
right. And well,
Like we hesitant during the wild card game because we're like, oh, we're not hitting, and then bullpen's coming up, and we've seen this play out so many times this year. Where obviously I can't speak for their fans, but I'm like, you got to have some sort of confidence. Like you finished first in the NL this year, like pretty easily. So that really threw me off. I made a note about it too. I was like, this is kind of weird.
well, and the Dodgers are also a team that, like the Yankees, are super prone to hitting a bunch of home runs, right? So like, it's not like your average team who's going to hit like a home run every couple of games, or maybe 1 or 2 home runs a game. Like the Dodgers can hit a lot of home runs, and like you can get back in a game really quickly when you have a team that could hit that many home runs. That was what surprised me the most.
There was the FP tweet from the game last night where it was, I think, going into the top of the 9th, and it was 4-2. And I mean, well within reach. And FP tweeted a video of just fans flooding for the exits.
Yeah, right. Which is what, Nats fans have been in that boat, right? Of being the fans that leave the stadium for whatever reason, because Metro or whatever else. But I don't think we've seen that here for a little while. And I think that's a narrative that is able to create itself because they are no longer the front runner. And I think that allows the narrative to shift a little bit. That's just my thought about it. But
I mean, it was only 10:30 there.
Right.
Yeah.
Where people were going.
Right.
Nats is like 11. Like that's the time where it's like, all right, people got to start thinking about Metro and like thinking about how to get home. 10:30? I don't know.
It's a little early. Yeah. Especially in a place where there's no public transit, so you could drive, just saying.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say that, so I pulled up Ryu's numbers. For the last 30 days, he's the 9th best pitcher in the starting pitcher in the National League. 2.13 ERA, 2.66 FIP, and 9.24 strikeouts per 9. So it's not like he's been bad for the last 30 days, that's for sure. But worth noting that 3 of the 8 pitchers above him are Mets pitchers. So I don't know how much it means. So just saying.
Lol Mets.
Yeah.
And a Reds pitcher in there too with Sonny Gray. So, things happen.
So we've got Game 3 tomorrow, which is Sunday. It is a 7:45 start, I want to say.
Yeah.
7:45. It's going to be fun. Home field advantage has never been that kind to the Nats, but this is not the Nats of the last 7 years. You don't feel the team's out of it. You don't feel that, you're down 2 runs in the 7th, that the game's over. Because the team has proven time and time again that that's just not going to happen. They're just going to keep grinding. So do we want to do any predictions, or do we just want to let it ride?
I would like to have Johan on the record, because I'd like to have him back on the show for whatever our next recording is, because I think there's some interesting things that are about to happen in this series. So let's make the new guy get on the record first. Craig, what do you think about that?
I love it. Bury him. Destroy him.
Actually, before I do that, I want to actually ask you guys about
what?
Because we can talk about Victor.
Oh yeah.
Have we heard
the injury yet? Yeah.
I've only heard tweaked hamstring, which is
that's
concerning.
all I've heard.
Which means that Michael Taylor's starting in center field in Game 3.
Which, if you're going to have a center fielder go in and have to be replaced, like Michael A. Taylor's a decent one to have in there.
Definitely.
I agree. You think there's any other change? Well, actually, that's probably, since you're putting me on the spot.
I mean, I would honestly, like, if we're talking changes, I would probably not change things. Is Ryu righty, lefty? Lefty, yeah. Zimmerman at first, Howie
Agreed.
at second.
Totally agree.
Keep it there.
And Suzuki.
Yep. I think Zook is your starting catcher, unless
it's Corbin, and then you get Gomes. That's the way it is. Yeah.
Right.
That's true. I mean, I was not happy with Gomes in game 1. His at-bats were
bad.
Pretty bad.
And
so yeah, I
agreed.
wouldn't mind if it was Kurt the rest of the way.
Agreed.
But yeah, so tomorrow, I am. It depends on how Ryu is, but I would like to see if they could jump on top again, because obviously that goes better for any baseball team. But if they don't,
a little bit better.
I think it would be. I mean, it might go to bullpen game. I think Scherzer and Ryu will like cancel each other out, and whatever one does, I think the other will do about the same. Like if it's like a run or two, and then
so you're looking at like a 2-2 game in the 6th.
Yeah, and then all bullpen, see what happens from there. Isn't it Corbin's throw day?
Yeah, it would be Corbin. Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if he's thinking about doing it again, because it actually just worked. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the same thing. If Scherzer can go to 6, you'll probably see exactly the same thing again. Doolittle, Corbin, Hudson, especially because Corbin's lefty.
I would love to see Corbin relief.
Yeah.
I feel oddly.
To see,
yeah.
I mean, any mix of Doolittle, Corbin, and Huddy, depending on where the lefties fall. Like, I would,
and maybe Doolittle,
Corbin's
right?
closing out the ninth.
Depending on how Dave Roberts builds that lineup, it could be and Doolittle as well, right? Like you could throw all of them in the mix.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Like same formula as yesterday.
Yeah.
Just depending on what part of the lineups you're getting to, you can shift the lefties around, and Doolittle could actually maybe close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do feel strangely confident. I feel like they're going to win tomorrow. I'm just really hoping that Scherzer can like bounce back from and use yesterday to channel into what he's doing tomorrow and be like. I feel like the key for him is his slider. It was on yesterday. It wasn't on during the wild card game. It was all over the place. If he has the slider on, like that's what really like.
And you'll know early.
Yes, it will be in probably the second pitch of the game.
What about you, Craig?
Because I feel like those fastballs.
I think the Nats win it going away. I don't think it's going to be a particularly close game. I think we've seen the Nationals being the best team in the NL and feeling the pressure after going down early or going split early. So I think the Dodgers, who have won the National League the last 2 years, and this is really the first adversity they've faced before the World Series. I think that they're going to be feeling the pressure because these teams, like I said on Wednesday or Thursday, whenever we recorded, I think they're really well matched. I think they're like, what was it? The betting odds were 50.7 versus 49.3, something like that. So the teams are lined up. So I think the Dodgers are really feeling the pressure, and I think they're going to get a little tight because they haven't really been at a point where they're feeling that pressure. So I think the Nats win it going away tomorrow. I think Scherzer is solid, but not great. But I think the offense is the offense from game 2 with a couple more hits as opposed to the game 1 disaster.
Yeah. So the reason that this podcast has been so uninteresting for the last so many years was because I literally have written on my piece of paper, the Nationals win it going away in game 3. Those are the words that are sitting in front of me right now.
Perfect.
So I am going to change.
Absolutely.
I am going to change it on the fly because that's just too on the nose and say what I think is Scherzer struggles through 3. And then you get I think you get some sort of relief after that.
Joe, your heart's not in it. I can tell.
That?
Your heart's not in it.
Oh, yeah, not in at all. I'm devastated. So I think the Nationals do end up winning it by a margin, but I do think it's with Scherzer not looking super great for a few innings, and then you get some sort of relief appearance, whether it's Voth or Sanchez or a combination of Doolittle, Corbin coming in game 3. But I do think the Nats win game 3 at home. I think the fan base is there. I think that the way that they played in game 2, I think the anomaly so far in this series has been game 1. Or in this postseason has been game 1. I think they were really good in the wild card game. They were really good in game 2. And I think game 3 continues the trend rather than the anomaly of game 1. So, yeah, it's ridiculous that you said the exact words that I have written down in front of me, Craig. So,
Yep.
but
I mean, I'm
So
just
actually-
impressed you wrote something
but also
down.
on brand.
Yeah.
Brand.
Completely
Yeah.
on brand.
So actually,
So,
I disagree about the wildcard game.
yeah.
I think they looked pretty bad.
Yeah, all right,
Yeah, I'm
that's
with,
fair.
I'm
That's
with you.
what was-
I'm with you.
That's what I
They
thought
were
was really
not great.
concerning after game 1. Yeah, other than it was a hit by
I mean,
pitch,
they had 3
a
hits
broken
through the
bat
7th.
loop. Yeah, and then Soto doing something that probably had a 90% chance of failing.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
mean,
my
They didn't look
tweet,
good for 7 innings of that
my
game.
tweet was beautiful, and it has 120 plus likes
Nice.
on it from the wild card game. That was like, Scherzer, Strass, compare all you want, but at the end of the day, they have 3 hits.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, the offense is the
happened.
concern, I guess, more than the pitching. So I was more talking about the pitching side of it, but
Oh, in general. Oh, yeah.
Um,
No, I agree with you there. But yeah, hitting
the hitting wise, not
that's-
in that
that's
wild card
the-
game either, right? Like it was a lot of luck in that wild card game, for
Yeah.
sure.
So I mean, we hit, we win.
Yeah, exactly.
At the end of the day.
And this team
we
can't
win.
hit, but so can the Dodgers, right? But I trust the Nationals pitching more at this point than I trust the Dodgers pitching. That's my big differentiator at this point. So
Yeah. That I
Yeah.
can agree with.
Final thoughts? Anyone? Final
Johan
thoughts?
first.
I had to give a shout out to Wingspan Dan because he wanted me to talk about that. Dan
Well
said
done.
that he's 5'8", right?
Dan's
He has a
5.
6-foot
I think he's
wingspan.
5. He's enormous wingspan.
Wingspan.
It was funny because we were hanging out at Walters after the game last Saturday, and he took a selfie and he's like, "Oh, I'll take this selfie because I have a great wingspan," and we're like, "Really?" We start cracking up, and then he's like, "I think I turned and I looked back at him and he's just holding his arms out straight out, and he's just like, look." And he's literally staying there for like a minute with his arms out, and Beth is just like, she's just like just so embarrassed. And I'm like, I'm sorry I brought this up. And then we started calling him Wingspan because it's like freaky how long his arms are compared to the rest of his
I'm
body.
here for it.
It's actually notable. So I had to give him a shout out. But otherwise, it's been really fun hanging out with you guys on our Saturday night and talking about the only thing on my mind this past couple days. So it's been nice to talk to some of the guys that know baseball about the Nats and going forward.
Well, that was the nicest compliment we've ever gotten on this show, Craig. I think.
Well, I mean, I'm going to correct you there. It's the only compliment.
Yeah,
we ever got.
right. I feel the same way. This has been awesome to kind of catch up. Craig and I kind of talked about after the last show. It's the first show we've done in probably more than a year, if not quite a bit more than a year. And then, we were closer to an hour and a half than an hour, and we never used to do this before, and we're kind of in the same boat this time. This has been a great download, and it's nice to bring another opinion in on the show that is much smarter than ours in every situation. So this has been fun. I can't wait to do it again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
hopefully.
we can
I don't know if we're going to be able to do it Monday because the game's at 6:40.
Yeah.
Oh,
But we'll see what happens the next 2 days because
I'll
baseball
be
is a
I'll be
thing.
in California
Happen.
all next week, so we'll have to figure timelines out. But I'll have my laptop and I'll be willing to do some stuff. So hopefully we can do
so you're
something.
going to be in California?
Sorry,
Where did you say you're
I'm
going
going
to
to be in Silicon Valley for work.
Ah.
Joe's bougie as
Yeah,
fuck.
I wish. But I'll be there Monday through Saturday, so I'll be there for Game 4 and a potential Game 5. So we'll see how it goes. I've got
Thinking about that at all?
what's that?
Are you thinking about Game 5 at all?
I can't get there yet. There will be a Game 4, and I will be watching it somewhere in California, and then I'll go from there. Our good friend Will Yoder has given me a recommendation for a place to go hang out in Palo Alto, because he used he used to live in that neighborhood, so I might go there, and then we'll see about Game 5. I'm hoping that I don't have to worry about that, but we'll see. We'll see. But hopefully we'll do another one of these again in the next couple of days.
Yeah,
I'm
be down,
for it.
man.
Awesome. Well, thanks for listening to yet another playoff edition of Nats Talk on the Go with Craig, Johan, and myself, and hopefully we'll do this again soon. Thanks, everybody.
The revival.
The revival!